Baruch Hashem, thank you guys for joining us again. Thank you to Jonah Kaladi for opening his house to us as usual. Thank you to Elevate, GN, and SPM for donating and sponsoring tonight's dinner. A quick idea on this week's parasha that I think is very applicable, and it could tie into what we're discussing right now. Now that I'm thinking about it now. The parasha begins, Vayetze Yaakov Beersheva, Vayelech Harana. Yaakov left the city of Beersheva and went to the city of Haran. Vayikach me'avnei makom vayasim me'rashotav. The next pasuk concludes that he took from the rocks of that area and he placed them under his head. So the Rashi asks, what does this mean? Why did he make a pillow with rocks around his head? So Rashi explains, Shaya yareh mechayot ra'ot. He was scared, he was concerned of different type of animals, creepy crawlers, whatever you may call them, that would come and attack his head. So he built like a little, we call it a pillow, but like something that would surround his head with rocks so that nothing can come and attack him when he sleeps in the desert, when he sleeps in the wilderness at night. The Yaakov Avinu. Okay? Now, the obvious question is, if you want to protect yourself from snakes, from scorpions, from poisonous spiders, and different things that can bite you, why are you only building a fortress around your head? You should have built a huge, like this table, a perimeter of this table, of rocks, of stones, around his entire body, and he should sleep in the middle. That way the entire body, the snake can't bite my foot, can't bite my stomach, my arms, my head, protect the whole body. What's the protecting just your head going to do? How does that help? Just making vayasim merashotav, putting them around your head, how does that help? What does that do for you? So the idea is, basically you can give an example with this cute idea, with a little bird, a little chick, a baby bird that was just hatched, can't fly so well. It could hobble, when it flaps its wings, it could get a few feet off the ground. What happens if that bird falls into mud? Falls into a big pile of sticky mud. For a bird that small, it's a problem. It's going to have to work really hard, and he's going to have to jump, work really hard, and maybe even have his mother pull it out so he can escape the floor, escape that sticky mud. What happens if his wings get stuck in? If he fell into his back? If his wings get stuck, it's an even bigger problem. He needs to be strong, he needs to be able to roll, he needs to be able to hop, maybe he needs to be able to flap, and it depends how he fell in. It's even more dangerous, even more scary for this chick, for this bird. It might not be able to get out of this mud. But if its head, as long as its head was outside, he's able to maneuver. He's able to yell to his mother on top of the nest to come grab me, come help me, because its mouth is open. It can make noise, and it can probably be saved. What happens if the bird fell off the tree into the mud, face first or head first? Now he's stuck. Now he's in a problem. Now he can't even call for help. He won't be able to fly. He won't be able to hop, and his head is stuck in the water. It's stuck in the mud. He won't be able to do anything. Once the head gets into the mud, game over. This chick needs a miracle to survive. Yaakov Avinu understood the same exact thing. Yaakov Avinu understood that right now I'm departing from my home. I'm departing from the house of Yitzchak. We said last week, Yaakov Ishtam Yoshev Oalim. Yaakov was a person that loved the books, loved studying, was always in the Bet Midrash, in the tent, learning Torah, studying Torah. He was very secluded in a safe environment, never really went outside, never really traveled. He was learning his Torah, he was focusing on the Torah. What happens? Now, he leaves. Last week's parasha concludes, they send him off. Rivka was scared that Esav would kill him. He says his goodbyes, he gets another bracha from his father, and they send him to Lavan Harami. Yaakov says, go find a wife for yourself from Lavan Harami. Go over there to pick your wife. But he knew very well where was he going. Yaakov Avinu understood that he has a very, very, very dangerous encounter coming up. A very severe and a very high intensity, high pressure meeting with no other than Lavan Harami, the king of tricksters, the king of the imposters, Gedol Haramaim. He was the most world-renowned thief and imposter in the world. And he knew very well who he was going to. Yeah, it was his mom's family. And yes, we spoke about in the past the midot that they had. But Lavan himself was a very, very, very cunning individual that you had to be very careful and weary dealing with. And not only that, it wasn't just coming to high and by. He knew he was going to be there for an extended period of time. He knew he was going to be there and live there and potentially marry his daughters or marry into that family. And what happens? Yeah, at the end, he ends up spending 20 years there. 20 years he spends at Lavan Arami. So what's the idea here? There's a deeper lesson that the Rashi is teaching us, that he protected his head from the wild creatures. Yaakov Avinu was willing to lose out on his body when working for Lavan. That wasn't the problem. He was willing to sacrifice his time, his sweat, toil. He was prepared to do that. But Yaakov Avinu understood, on the head we have to watch over. We have to protect the head. We have to be careful about our brains. Ala rosh chayavim lishmor. Because once the head enters mud, like the analogy of the chick, of the bird, once the head enters mud, that's game over. And we're stuck, there's no way out, there's no helping. And Yaakov Avinu understood very, very well about this, and that's what Rashi is alluding to when it says he protected the head. Obviously, if you want to protect from literal animals, you would protect your entire body and build a fortress around your whole body. The idea that he placed the rocks around his head is to teach us that he was willing to work, and he was willing to work very hard. And he knew to make it, you have to work very hard. And he did for 20 years. He worked extremely hard, ended up getting 2 wives, a few midwives. He made money, he amassed wealth, and he was tricked a few times. He was lied to. We'll see that in this week's parasha, obviously. He knew he was willing to sacrifice his body, but he said, on my head, I can't give up. All of these years of Torah that I studied, I need to protect it. All of these years that I grew and I became closer to Hashem, my time I spent in the Yoshev Oalim, in the tent, I have to watch over and I have to keep safe. And this is an idea, this is a lesson, I think, to all of us. All of us need to understand every single day how important it is to keep our heads clean. Keep our minds clean. Obviously, he's talking about what we see and what we hear and what we listen to. That's the starter. Meaning, to understand that before we act, before we do something inappropriate, think before you do it. Get your head out of the mud. In this, continue on the analogy. Don't keep your head in the mud, whichever one you want to do it. But that's number one. We say all the time that when someone eats something non-kosher, how much pleasure does he have with any food? You gotta know something non-kosher. From the lips till the throat. Once it gets down, once you swallow, it's all the same down here. Some are healthy for you, some are worse for you. But so for that non-kosher food, for 6 seconds, you're gonna go against the word of Hashem. You're gonna go against something that Hashem speaks so bad against. Or obviously, you want to kill time and you turn on something that you shouldn't be watching. All of the work, and you're going to allow that to contaminate and to mess with your brain. And this is another beautiful idea. Nowadays, no one is capable of thinking on their own because they're being fed so much information from different media sources, outlets, from different channels, from this, from that, you name it, that in theory, when you hear someone talk, you can know just from one conversation which news channels he watches, where he gets his news from, just the way he speaks. Because, this guy's quoting word by word CNN, or quoting word by word Fox News, or quoting word by word CNBC, and he's presenting himself to be so educated. He's not thinking anything on his own. He's repeating what he heard on the news last night. And it's to that extent that people, unfortunately, have lost the way to think for themselves, have lost the way to really internalize and watch over their heads. The biggest blessing and the biggest gift and the biggest reward that we possibly can have is to have a clarity of mind. Is to have a working mind, a brain that works, and it's our job to keep that protected, to keep that safe, to safeguard that gift that Hashem has given us. And we have to be very careful. There are so, in our generation especially, there are thousands of different stimuli, different factors, different notifications, and different advertisements, and whatever you may call it, that are trying to grab our attention, that are trying to distract us, that are trying to buy us. Meaning, at the end of the day, it's all data. Data is king. Every second we scroll on the computer, on any app, whatever it is, it's all being tracked and it's being sold, and data is king. This company buys, they want to know what does a 22-year-old boy look at 8 hours a day, so they can sell it to different clothing companies, sell it to music producers, sell it. Everything is data. Data is king. So we are literally being tracked 24/7 for their benefit. So they know how to market us better, how to label us better, what box to put us in when they want to sell us an item. So it's not even, and I'm saying this and everyone's nodding, yeah, obviously we know that. But that's the point. We've gotten to the point where our brains, our minds, our heads are so accessible and are so easy to be taken, to be absorbed, to be hijacked with whatever stimuli, with whatever video, short video, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it may be. They're all targeting our minds. And Yaakov Avinu is reminding us how important it is to protect our minds. How important it is to don't let the foreign concepts that are foreign to Yahadut, foreign to Judaism, penetrate our brains and contaminate ourselves. What are our values? What does the Torah dictate from us? What does the Torah want from us? Which values do we care about? Respecting our parents, emunah in Hashem, bitachon in Hashem, trust in Hashem, whatever it may be. But these values are forgotten in society amongst us, near us, especially these media platforms that are trying to grab our attention, buy our screen time, and sell us as much data or collect as much data as they can to sell. So when it's clear as day, so we need to comprehend and learn from Yaakov Avinu. What did he do? He put these rocks around his head. Protect himself from the scorpions and from the snakes and from any dangerous animal. But as a lesson for us in the future, that it's very important. Yes, you're going to have to work hard to make ends meet. You're going to have to spend a lot of time in the office. You're going to have to survive in this world isn't easy. But don't sell away your brain. Don't sell away your mind. Don't be clicking away. No, I'm working. Okay, there's a time for work and there's a time for Torah. There's time for work and there's time for tefillah. There's time for work and there's time for tzedakah. There's time for chesed. Don't excuse, because that's what society wants from a 22 or 24 or 26-year-old, is to be working as long as I can. That's important. Work very hard. But don't sell away your tefillin. Don't sell away your learning the Torah, your chesed. Look to give back. Find avenues, find ways. Try to find an opportunity to help others. Why do we need to speak about this? Because that's the contrary of what society is trying to teach us and trying to promote to us and sell to us. You're never going to be sold in an advertisement to do chesed. Why? Because no one makes money in chesed. Or chesed organizations are all losing money because no one is profiting, or in good organizations, no one is profiting from them. So we're never going to be brainwashed from society to do good or do more good or give more charity, or on the contrary, they're going to want to milk us to keep us engaged and forget about all the good that we need to do. Forget all that we know that has to be taken care of. And that's what Yaakov Avinu is teaching us. He's teaching us this important idea is, don't let your minds go away. Don't let your mind get lost in the times. Don't let your mind forget what's important and what's not. Like we said earlier, you can tell very well what newspaper someone reads or what news outlet they get their news from, the way they speak. We have to think for ourselves. Don't just be people that repeat. Did you ever ponder and wonder, what's my purpose here? Did you ever think, how can I make this world a better place? How can I leave a mark? What's my legacy going to be? Apparently, they asked Mike Tyson, some 14-year-old asked Mike Tyson, what's your legacy going to be after you die? And he just lost to whatever it was, Jake Paul. So he started saying, legacy doesn't mean anything. Once you're dead, you're worms and maggots and something like that. Mechila from Mike Tyson. But that's the opposite of what we believe in. If you do good in your life, instead of just punch people for your living, no, your legacy is very important. Shalom Aleich writes, Tov Shem Yishem and Tov. A good name is more valuable than the most fine oil. Our legacy is number one thing we need to leave and worry about this in this world. Building a family, having children, raising children in the way of the Torah mitzvot. I'm a chain on this necklace from Moshe Rabbeinu until me. My job is to add one more link to this chain. Give it over one more generation. Do good. Do chesed. Give tzedakah. Make this world a better place. Leave a mark. That's exactly what Hashem has given us, these powerful machines in our head called a brain. Don't let it be hijacked by medias or by scrolling or by our phones, by our computers, or by work even. We have to have the clarity of mind to be able to learn Torah, do mitzvot, do chesed, come close to Hashem, and understand priorities. I'm working very hard to support a family so I can send my kids to Jewish school, so I can give my kids a better life, whatever it may be. But work hard and don't let work consume your brain, consume your life. It's very important that we don't get this forgotten, don't get this disordered, because every stimulus that's around us is trying to make us forget to use our brains. It's trying to just buy screen time, send another advertisement our way, and it's our job to remember Yaakov Avinu's lesson of why protect our heads. Protect our heads from any possible contamination that is foreign to our society, foreign to the Torah, foreign to the mitzvot, foreign to our beautiful community. And it's very important, and it's a beautiful lesson. It's a smallest idea in this week's parasha, but it's something that we can take away, and we should hold on to every single day. Rez Hashem will succeed in it. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for listening. Chazak u'baruch.